Hey y'all! Now that we're fully online for the rest of the year, it's important that we're all on the same musical page. This series of videos will help us in that regard, and I'm calling it the building blocks of music. Today, we'll be discussing the concept of timbre, which asks, what makes this sound special? Just like all of us are unique as people, every sound that we hear is special. We use this difference in sound to help us understand what's going on in the world around us, and in music to help what we create sound exactly how we want. Sometimes we can make different timbres come out of the same musical instrument by the way that we play. As a guitar player, I know that I can make the same chord have different timbres by playing closer to the end of the string, playing closer to the middle of the string, playing with my fingers, or by muting the strings with the palm of my hand. Other times, we use particular instruments because they have different timbres. The same melody played on a guitar sounds totally different if you play it on a piano. Watch this. Different timbres help different ideas pop into our brain and different feelings arise in our heart. This makes timbre one of the most important and powerful parts of the music that we hear and create. If there's one main problem with timbre, it's that a particular timbre is usually pretty tricky to describe with words. We end up using words that we already use to describe other things, just repurposed to describe sound, like these. For example, if I had to describe a breathy sounding timbre, we might use the instrument of a flute, like this one. However, a nasal timbre might be better exemplified with the instrument of a clarinet, like this. A swampy timbre might be best described by the instrument of an electric piano, with some distortion and an effect called tremolo, like this one. Punchy timbre always reminds me of a nice rock and roll kick drum like this. The timbre word bloated reminds me of the way that a bass guitar is not supposed to sound. It's supposed to sound like this. But if we add too much low frequencies and not enough high frequencies, it can start to sound like this, bloated. Lastly, a spacious timbre reminds me of the sound of a whole string section, like this. We use our understanding of timbre every day, even when we're not thinking about it, to help us understand what's going on around us. This is super important when we can't see the thing that's making the sound. Let's see if we can demonstrate our mastery of timbre together. See if you can guess the object in my house that made each sound that you're about to hear. Let's listen to clip number 1. If you guessed that that sound is a coffee grinder, you're right. I might describe that timbre as angular and focused. Let's listen to clip number 2. If you guessed a microwave, you're correct. I might describe that timbre as swampy and dull. Let's listen to clip number 3. If you guessed a printer, you're right. I might describe that timbre as crunchy and hollow. Let's listen to clip number 4. If you guessed that that was my Xbox One turning on, you're right. I might describe that timbre as delicate and bright. Now, this last one's tricky. I don't think that many of you are going to get it. But let's listen to clip number 5. If you guessed my turntable or vinyl record player starting, then you're right. I might describe that timbre as dull and then as punchy. Describing and working with timbre is one of those things that most of us are going to have to keep practicing for the rest of our lives. Kind of like ball handling in basketball, in that you can never really be too good at it. Leave a comment below about a sound whose timbre you think is particularly hard to describe, and I'll see you in the next lesson.